Well, we should have agreed who's going to say hi. Okay, I'll start. Hi, and a very warm welcome to the last item on the agenda of Privacy Week 2020. Jürgen, would you like to take over from me straight away? Yeah, thank you, dear Claudia. And we have prepared, as you can tell, and as it should be. And I will now start our very quick presentation, our very quickly compiled presentation. So you see our motto, the one for the Privacy Week this year. And Jürgen's just muted himself, but, well, that was because the control room thought I didn't have any audio. Okay. Is the system relevant in the year of Corona, the year of online events? And we thought we would use this challenge and run good online conference. And I think it was really great. And in the next 248 minutes and 312 slides, we would like to present to you what that means. Some may think that a Privacy Week online means that you quickly gather around an online thing and click a few Jitsi accounts, maybe even Zoom, and that's it. But that is not the case by far. So people have asked us how we made this work technically, and that is something we would like to talk about, but we'll start with, I think we'll hand over to our dearest Eva, whom you haven't quite seen yet, if you are watching from outside. Hello, Eva. Hi. Yes, that is rather true. I'm normally the person behind the scenes or behind the camera. And this is the 5th Privacy Week in Vienna. Of course, now newly just an online event. And the first Privacy Week in 2016, I watched from the audience. I was in the audience. And in 2017, we started the so-called Star Kitchen, or is it an asterisk kitchen, to provide the voluntary helpers with breakfast and one warm meal per day. And, well, what can I say? That was taken up very well. Yes, and this interpreter has been in Vienna, and I loved it. So we continued this in 2018 and 2019, and I also helped with other things, the design in 2019, which was easy because the design took place beforehand and the cooking was during the event, so that was quite useful. You've seen these t-shirts a lot in the stream. That is my responsibility or my fault, more or less. And the Privacy Week 2020 in many ways was different, a different kind of challenge than we were used to. And I think throughout the year, it was one for all of us. It wasn't an easy decision to make, and it took us a long time. We were discussing, should we run this Privacy Week on site? Because we always considered this gathering on site to be so very important. And I don't know how it was for you, but I found it very hard to imagine for quite a while how to run an online event, but we didn't want to cancel it either. Because if we as a Chaos Computer Club can't manage to put an online event on, who else could, was our thinking. So the decision was that we want to do it, and it can only be an online-only event. And I personally found it important not to cancel because we had started working on it intensely since early March and worked to improve the Privacy Week and make it different and better. And in March, we noticed, yes, it's going to be even more different than we thought. And the fact that we don't have a star kitchen this year, that is painful to me, because getting the team together in that room and having a meal or some food together, that is something that really bound us together. It wasn't possible this year, but that meant that at least I could learn and had to learn and was able to learn that there are other ways of creating a team and keeping it together and making it work online, even if it is different. At the same time, holding the event online has its advantages, of course. For example, I had never been able to watch as many talks as I could this year. Also, our team this year was even more diverse than it had been already. By now, we have 46 registered angels in our own angel system. And as far as I know, that is the largest number that we ever had. And that, I think, is a reason to celebrate. We had people from the whole German-speaking area, be it from their office, their kitchen table, and these people all supported us. Most come from Germany, but not just from Vienna. But we had helping hands from various German regions and from Switzerland as well. I cannot name names because that would be unfair to those that I am not going to name. But I hope you can all find yourself represented somehow in what I have just said. We have people that were part of inventing and shaping the Privacy Week from the very first time, from the very start, and that still are with us and want to carry the event forward. But we have people that are working for us for the first time, and they have so fantastically grown, risen to the challenges. And they didn't know what to do, but found a place for themselves, which they shape. People who we've never met personally, people who have not met us. And still, these people said that they felt integrated into the team. And to have managed that for an online event, that is something that I can hardly believe, and that really impresses me. We have people that were sad that they couldn't come to Vienna this year, and this interpreter agrees strongly, and that cannot support us this year, and that they see this in many ways as replacement, a surrogate. And we have many people that have been seen in the stream, our presenters or heralds. We have people behind the scenes, many more, whose work you haven't seen at all, or via proxy, via the stream. You have the stage. We have people on the stage that were looking after our speakers, made sure that they all felt looked after and not just left standing around somewhere, and that made sure that in Jitsi and in Big Blue Button, in the workshops, everything worked. We had the angels that heard that the event is on, and people that may be watching now and wondering how long I'm going to continue to talk. And we have people still filling the positions and making sure that one is there. So we have the video control room who are making sure that the picture is going well. That was a very different task compared to last year. And we had so many people that were active, and we had a virtual info desk where people answered questions. Everyone that needed something could be sent there, and these people were for the speakers, the audience, the angels. They just made sure that they knew everything roughly and that they were able to point everyone the right way. And what was also very important was the people that did IT support, operations support, because these people made sure that throughout the week we had a stable stream, working systems. Without these people, we would not be able, never be able to run an online event. And it's great that it all was so stable throughout the week. Work had been done before the week, and people were always there during the week. That people that you could immediately ask with problems, and that is a fantastic effort. A huge thanks I would like to give to the interpreters. Theirs is not an easy task. They have to adapt themselves to very different talks and speakers. Some very fast talking, then there are short-term changes. Maybe the language of the talks is switched. They still manage to adapt, and it's very important that they are there to make this content available to an even larger audience, and it would not be possible. Thank you very much for that. We've also had people looking after the stream.
There are also people who made the questions, to make a connection between people and the speakers. We didn't want you to just passively watch the stream, but that you can actively participate in this event, and we hope that at least we could realize that a bit. Each and every one of the angels have done a great job so that this Privacy Week, this first completely online event, worked out as it did, and I'm incredibly thankful to each and every one of you. At the beginning of the week, the Jana, who also did this year's great sketch notes, she twittered approximately that it really is that even in 2020 we have a Privacy Week, and that is a sign of hope. And that was something that was really, for me, at the end of this week, it feels like this great collaboration during the week within our team that really gives me hope that we'll also always find a way how we can do this if we have enough people who want to work together and to work for this one goal. And I'm incredibly thankful that I was able to be part of this team. Thanks to everyone who made this possible. Thanks a lot. +1. Jürgen, so what are we now going with our 68 slides which say exactly the same thing? Oh, well, it's not totally the same thing. There are some more details, especially like taking a view behind the curtains. Thanks, Eva, first, because you really make it possible for us that we can't forget anyone, because I think you didn't forget anyone. So let's have a look at the technique. Oh, technical stuff. So, for a Privacy Week online, of course, we need hardware. That looks, for example, it looks like this in our case. I suppose Clemens can say something more about that. Of course, just a power plug and a cat isn't sufficient. Clemens, what's that? So basically, you see two photos here of most of the hardware we actually used here. The basic thing is just the video setup we used over the last years. It's a hardware video mixer, which is pretty good for handling. With the handling is pretty easy, and especially people who just sit in front of it. After 5 minutes, usually you can handle it and know how it works. So, and it does approximately what it should do the last years. So the challenge this year was to make this remotely controllable, because at the beginning it was clear for us that it wasn't at the beginning clear that will have a totally remote event, so including Orga, remote video control everyone, so that there's only one central space where the hardware was, and but no one is actually there physically from the people, and that was the case. So the last time somewhere actually was at the place the hardware is was shortly before the opening on Monday. So this just continued to run the whole week. That's how it looked like when it's built up. So we had, starting at the bottom, we had 3 virtualization server for Jitsi, Big Blue Button, and our Streams or Nextcloud infrastructure. We also have on the Big Blue Button the Big Blue Button was for the workshops, which really worked out pretty well. Jitsi was the video stream stuff. So what you can see on the stream now, everything of this runs over a Jitsi channel, which was pretty important, that it's for the speakers it's easy for the speakers to work and runs in the browser and is not much more than a link to use. Going from the middle to the top of the video setup is at the top third. You'll see there the video mixer with this white line of buttons, and to the right of it, this small blue display. That's remotely controllable. So we wrote a bit of software that this can be controlled from home or from as if you would sit in front of the device. Below the mixer you can see 3 more or less desktop PCs. 2 of them were just like virtual displays. More or less it's head only, so only the display, and the rest is remotely controlled. And they send video and audio input to the video mixer. And below that, the bigger thing, you have it's a ThinkStation, which is actually a desktop computer, but fits in this rack perfectly and has enough computing power, which makes so it does the stream, including all of the encodings, and that's it more or less. So the top 2 things with all of the cables was just network stuff like switch and 1 VPN gateway. After we finished it, we were pretty well surprised how much hardware it is actually, because I think we actually have like more than 100 kg of hardware in this rack. Well, as you see at the top here, there has been more video equipment, where you can see HDMI and SDI video mixed. So that's where the translator lines were put in. There's also InfoBeamer here. So except for the big stuff of the servers, it's not that much different than we have at in live event. With the only difference there, we have cameras and no computers there. Great. I was really surprised that it was still so compact and so that it's actually if you can, as you can scale that. So you don't just need hardware, you also need software. We used a lot of software, of course. In general, I think so. More or less everything is open source, from the website on a WordPress, which runs on WordPress, internal communication using Element, Signal, Pretalk, Pretix. We used online meetings and used audio chats with Mumble, which is also open source for the team meetings. But the core element, of course, was the online Privacy Week through the discussion rooms, which were done by Big Blue Button. On Big Blue Button instances, so which look like maybe you've already know that because you've been there. So, and the really like the total core stuff, of course, here. So now that's the wrong image. It should be, but whatever. You see, it's a Jitsi running, so as Jitsi looks like. So for the Jitsi view, maybe Philip can tell us some things, because he really did a lot. He spent a lot of time there because he was welcoming Angel for speakers. Yeah. Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. So I have to say that I'm a bit of a minority in this team, because it's the first time I haven't been just a guest to the event. It's the first time I'm actively participating in this event. And the second minority I am part of is that this whole virtual stuff, I really like that, and I feel very comfortable. It isn't typical. I've heard from other people a lot of times that they're missing a lot. So I'm not very clearly neurotypical, so I really have problems with remembering names. So this system, you can see it's great. For each person in the room, I can see their names, so I can just address them by your names, which I can very rarely do in real life, actually. So I know all those people. It's either this or this or that, but I don't really know. So I like it, and I did it in my job, because I did it like worldwide video conferences in my job. But still, I know that people have hard times getting acquainted to this, and I did an incredible lot. I visited a huge amount of online conferences this year in summer, because everything is free now, and all of the events had problems. And also in the company where I worked until summer, the video conferences, they had started with 5 to 10 minutes delay. So I wanted to not do that here, because it would be really bad here. So I said, okay, we had to practice. And so we offered all the speakers can have, in the week before the Privacy Week, can have like an appointment here, join us, and I'll just go through the setup with them and practice. At the beginning, that was a bit hard, but at the end, it really worked out with everyone. And again, 1 hour before each talk, we were already in the room where I'm currently talking, and tested the room, the one you can now see. When you see the overview view, that's like the studio room where we are in, and I did the same thing with them. So 1 hour before that, I said, okay, camera is okay, audio is okay, light is okay, maybe your style, etc. So I just gave them an introduction, hopefully until quarter to the talk, and then don't touch anything. And almost every time it worked that the start was pretty much on time. And I think that is really necessary. That's a complex setup, and in many decades in the IT, this is an experimental science with not reproducible results, which is problematic for a science. But so you have to try stuff, and if you have a setup which runs, don't touch it. And that's something you have to take time for, and this is what we did. And I think it was a success. Almost everyone could start with no to very little problems. So what Philip didn't say now is that he actually also made test sessions with most of our speakers. How many did you do? 23, 24? Yeah, I think 23 in the week before Privacy Week, and then directly before the event, 1 hour test sessions with everyone. Of course, not all speakers came to their test sessions, so during the test sessions we had no gender parity, so women tested much more than men. Men tended to just come here spontaneously 10 minutes before the event, but still worked out. So when you come early, you get a lot of help. Many conferences I've seen where the starting was delayed for 10 minutes was because they just didn't test it. I think I had 5 more test sessions with speakers, so clearly you had the longest. And what we also should mention is that Philip wrote tutorials for pretty much each and every single system we're actually using, no matter whether it's for speakers, for angels, meaning for volunteers, or whatever. So all of them are now documented in our wiki. And Philip really did a great job. So we could, in case of doubt, if there was a test session, there was a problem, that we could check on the wiki and see what should you actually do if this and that happens. So like the camera doesn't work for this or that reason. Very great. Thanks a lot. So that really helped a lot, and I think it will really help us for the coming years a lot. So it will be a great foundation from which we can build upon in the next years.
Something else I wanted to mention, emotionality and so on. In the last 2 weeks, I've had so wonderful personal conversations, partly with the other angels, the helpers, but also with many of the speakers. We had fantastic conversations in the hours before the event, if they were present early enough and sufficiently relaxed. We had wonderfully intensive conversations. It was emotional for me, and it was a real experience. Cool. By the way, we had one voice from the internet. Eva, you said that you didn't know whether we managed a good conference, and if not us, who could. And there has been, as a response, your online conference has been very great. Okay, let's look back to our view on things. You see that there are some extra channels that we can look at, but let's take another view. When we say that we prepared and tested things, then of course that means that we need a system called the Angel system, where people can register and say, yes, I would like to help out, and when do I have to be where? And I'm going to show you a screenshot of that so that you can see how this worked. People can self-assign for those shifts. You see shifts here. And there is an overview for the open shifts where people are still needed. And a 7-day program, of course, means that 9 days, at least, of organizations and training sessions with everything there are in that. And that's how it looks. So if you've grasped that notion of a 7-day program, you see 2 days ahead of the first day, and you can see how many items there were to look at. And that's the boxes at the bottom. And then on top, one card has 10 positions here. So you can tell that there is quite a lot to do. And of course, you can help us with that next year and get to know the system even more. And more on that later. Now, a centerpiece next to, the short remark about the angel system. In the last year and this year, we took this over from podstock.de. So thanks so much to Sebastian, who let us take this and use it. And that was a great help. And if I remember correctly, last weekend, I think it was on Saturday, I think Eva will be able to remember this more exactly. I vaguely remember that when I logged in on Saturday, there were about 900 and something open shifts. It was actually more than 1,000 open shifts. We hadn't created all the shifts yet. So it was more than 1,000. And I have to add that all the stand-up and other shifts were included there. So take it with a grain of salt, but more than 1,000 open shifts. And I have to add that these things are not created automatically. They have to be created manually. So if there are changes in the schedule, for example, if a talk is cancelled, then you have to manually make those changes. So we did not want to automatize this. Not yet. Well, let's see what next year brings. I believe that we would like some kind of automatism, but someone will still have to check. So a large part of these shifts will be created manually, and those people that looked after the angels, I'm very grateful that I had people to help me look after the angels. One single person couldn't have done that. Fantastic. Yes, and the second centerpiece next to the Big Blue Button Exchange is, of course, our Jitsi. You've just seen that from the point of view of the speakers. And now let's give you the view from the control room, an exclusive insight now. This is how it looks in Jitsi. And I think that I'll hand over to the person that can say more about that, Clemens. Yeah, that was quite a simple web interface, what you see here, using WebSockets. There are 3 controls for the video mix, for adding 2 other Jitsi instances, and on the other side you see the live video input with about half a second delay, the multi-view from the hardware mixer that we had. So you see the various inputs there, and you can choose what you want to send to the program. And I can now live take you into the video controls and take something away from the video. Let's see. I'm sure we'll have an exception soon. So that's screen sharing. This is a multiple video exception. So we have controls for program preview and audio of the video mixer. And down here, we have the remote control, as it were, of the Jitsi sessions, so that we can see who is in there, who is speaking at the moment, and an easy control for volume and so on. That proved to be very successful. We could see who is there, who should be speaking right now, who is speaking. And from shortly before September, the first raw version existed. The left side here is Jitsi again. which is used by the video control room for talking to each other as well. So that's as if they were sitting at a desk on site. And the other idea was that, similar to in an on-site situation, it would be easy for people to take part in this. And what happens on site is that we have 3 chairs in front of the video mixing machines, in front of the mixer, and are sitting down there, and whoever is interested at the time. And normally after 3/4 of an hour, someone will ask, can I have a go? And my requirement was that from the beginning, I wanted it set up in a way that enabled more than one person to do the work, so that someone can just go away if the postman comes to the door or something. It's all a very quick setup, quickly made, but it worked very well throughout the week. And I'm very happy that we didn't have any, really. It is fantastic. And from what I've seen, I did a lot of presenting and joined those control rooms, those virtual control rooms. And to be able to make arrangements with the control room. And it was super intuitive, and it was a fantastic interface. Is there any experience from the last years what the ideal should have been? If there were, they have clearly proven successful, and they've proven helpful for this year. Okay, I'm now going to give you, without comment, I'm going to give you an exclusive behind the scenes view of the people that are sitting at home working. They have their own work environments, of course, and some of them, several people from the team have given us a short insight in how it looks in their place and what options they have. This is a wonderfully colorful view, and we hope that all the people that took part have always had enough supplies of coffee and had a lot of fun. And it was always important to us that people were able to take breaks in between. We've tried to make sure that the shifts always included breaks, that no one would have to work for 6 hours in a go, for a psychological hygiene, as it were. And I think that worked, right? So this interpreter is waiting for his picture to come up. Well, you couldn't see that everyone was nodding there, and I didn't see it. Sorry. Yeah, it wasn't so easy this year, because in the last few years, I could force these people to go to the kitchen, and that was not possible, of course. And we had to appeal to everyone's own responsibility. And on the other hand, the huge advantage was that they had whatever they needed at home to relax. And the interesting thing was that the interpreters are the kind of people that also in the live event you don't really get to see. They are guests, and some of these people are sitting behind in the technical rooms, and you see them behind mixing desks, some of the technical people, but the interpreters have to be distant because they are speaking at the same time. And how many of these do you have this year? Oh dear. Actually, you're catching me unprepared. I think it was just under 10. And these and these people have sent us a few photos, such as Sebelis, who is interpreting right now. And of course, they need silence. And they cannot do their job without silence. So by watching the stream, it looks quite easy for me to, when I sit at the info desk, I could be disturbed, but the interpreters need a good audio setup and a quiet environment when they actually do their work. And I think, Clemens, you had an extra screen view for the interpreters during the week, didn't you? Yes, the interpreters are not just given the audio, but roughly the same multi-view that the control room has, so that they can always see everything that's going on, which has some disadvantages because the image isn't as large as it could be, a third or quarter view, but it is important to give them the full view, and I think that was well received, and that is something that will still be important next year, I'm sure. Right.
Oh, and moderation. They also always have some special situation because, like from the front, it looks very interesting. But the question is, how does it look behind the scenes? And we have three small insights for you here. Here, der Puppe. As him, yeah, you see all his background looks very interesting, and you see that it was interesting to see the different approaches to moderation. So this is his behind the scenes photo. So you see multiple monitors, lights. So very, very interesting. So Claudia, who's also in the stream now, sits here smiling. Maybe you've seen her at Halloween in this outfit, including the sheep. The sheep is also here this year. Unfortunately, also only virtually. Also, she gave us a small. So here's this how it looked at her place when she did the moderation. And yeah, maybe you've also seen me, so Jürgen, the speaker, at Halloween. Of course, there are two sides. I work in front of a green screen, so this is how it actually looks, totally on the fly created, and so this is on the view onto the stream from my perspective. Oh, yeah, fun facts. Let's get at fun facts, the stuff which is necessary for a closing. Or do you have anything to add, any of the other speakers before that? All of them shake their heads. So we had 57 talks and workshops, which is, I think, is really, really great, with 69 speakers from 6 countries at least. At least means because for some we don't actually know in which countries they actually were when they sent their stuff. So we have been pretty international. So, and this is definitely something that is an advantage. This online version was made possible for us. In other years, that wouldn't have been possible for us in this way, and most likely won't be possible in the next years because inviting people spontaneously, like, for example, Cory Doctorow or Bruce Schneier, that's not something you can do even after multiple years of preparations. You can't do this just quickly. So this is a huge advantage of the online event. And so we took the chance, we took the opportunity, and so we made a more international program this year. We always had wanted to have a very good gender equality, but unfortunately, just we don't have 50%, 50-50 we wanted to have, but at least we had 39% women, which is at least okay. So a short remark about that. We also had 3 speakers who three speakers who couldn't come, 2 of them because of COVID, and 1 because they had to treat someone who has COVID, and then 1 more because they were sick themselves. So actually we would have more than 30%, but unfortunately 2020 is 2020, so hopefully next year we'll get the 50%. So especially for women, please, please, please give talks, answer our call of papers. And I would actually, can I spoiler now or yeah? Okay. No, 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 no. We're going to spoiler afterwards. We'll be done in a second. I'm not allowed to do anything. No, it's okay. Okay, so no. Good. Okay, we had 3,135 minutes of program. We just added that up. Just doing some adding. It hopefully worked out. But that's not completely it, because the speakers often joined the interval chit chats afterwards, and we couldn't like really protocol those talks and couldn't verify those. So approximately, we think like approximately 450 minutes of this interval chit chats, which I think is really great. Thanks a lot to our speakers, and thanks a lot to everyone who participated in that. Yeah. We didn't protocol exactly, but we think we had 17 cat meows. And the nice thing is we had 0 surprise guests in the stream, meaning no children just coming in, or your like post people, or your pizza deliver service, which was pretty good. But we had a lot of data, so we transmitted 790 gigabytes of data without backups. So if Clemens, okay, these are actually just the recordings. So data we really like transmitted. We sent the video stream via the VOC, Video Commemoration Center of the Chaos Computer Club Germany, as well as we had our own stream. So our own stream and the Jitsi plus Big Blue Button together, these were for 1 year. For the week, we had approximately 2.5 terabyte of uploads. Wow. It's great. We had 280 gigabytes of video hardware recorder backup. So yeah, it's not a third backup actually. On the video mixer, the right part is a hardware recorder, which records to SD cards, which was actually the third backup. And these are just, so if everything else fails, then we have to use those hardware recordings. By the way, when we were talking about surprise guests, I just read in a side channel for one person the people who collect money for federal media approximately were at the door. And then let's see graphically what happened over the network. So you see the peaks, special, so session 1. So, and then we just didn't send. So maybe you can say something about this graphic. Clemens, Claudia, anyone? When I see this correctly, that is Saturday the 31st. So which definitely was one of our strongest days. Yeah, that was the greatest peak. We don't have actual statistics how many people watched our stream, but what we do have, we have a very core statistics for all half an hour. We take a snapshot of how much traffic goes over our stream. So we had very high peaks when you look at the hours during the week. So like, for example, the talk by Max Schrems or by Cory Doctorow. So of course, Ross Anderson and Bruce Schneier. But this peak at the end, what's that? That was the highest peak we had over the whole week. And I can tell you, this talk was by Judith Strosenberg, Bloody Data, about period trackers. That one even beats Cory Doctorow and Bruce Schneier. So that's really great. So especially this talk, with all its abysses, was seen by so many people, and hopefully changed something. And at least from one side channel, we know that at least one person who menstruates who understood now that data protection is something that affects her as well. Right. We had 46 angels. Eva already mentioned that. Well, of course, we have to see which kind of problems arise. So we think there have been 0 crashes. No crashes, no, but yeah. There were no crashes and no people got hurt during this. No accidents. That's the word. Sorry. And we had no accidents during the home week. So no, Eva also has no accidents at home, and she didn't hear of any accidents at home. So there had been some people who got ill, but there have been no accidents this year. Great. We didn't just have no accidents, we actually also had no COVID positive people, so it also says presumably in the brackets. So, and now I'll leave the statistics and go to our sponsors. Claudia, do you want to talk about that? Yeah. This year we had financial support from the Chamber of Labor in Vienna. Thanks again on this point again. So this enabled us to buy angel shirts for all of our volunteers, which Eva designed for us, and also it was also for hardware. We had a bit of financial room too. So we also were supported by NextLayer. NextLayer actually gave us the rec space you saw before, with a very quick upstream, so people in the stream could actually watch PrivacyWeek 2020. And of course, Eva said it at the beginning, the greatest support, of course, was by all those people around the world who this year kept PrivacyWeek running. By the way, we also had our volunteers had been not only within Europe but also outside of Europe. Some of them want to translate the English talks to even French, so we will even get a bit more reach in that case, and I'm very happy about that. Yeah, so that's the next term, as support. It's not just sponsors, it's also support. So we get a lot of support in very many different ways from the community, and this is also something where we want to talk about. For example, Jana. Each year Jana is doing her sketch notes for the talks, and those are really, really great. And she really sketch notes all of the talks incredibly well and summarizes the talks in one single graphic. That's always, it's really good. A special shout out to her. So if you're looking for a sketch note for someone who does sketch notes for you, write Jana. She's really good. We also got some support by Green Teas. These are who are responsible for our merch. Maybe Eva has something to say about that a bit. Yeah. She's surprised that she has to say something. Yeah, that wasn't. We didn't talk about that before. Yeah, we work together with Green Teas for several years now, and are very happy with them. And the T-shirts and the hoodies they provide, they're like they're sustainable, organic sustainable and organic production. And all of those who have one, you know that this is good quality. So we're really very happy with that, and very, and I can really just recommend Green Teas to everyone. So if you're looking for some winter clothes, that's really good hoodies, and you can order there, and you won't freeze. One thing I gave to Jürgen by now, so we have the motive from this year. You actually have also with English subtitles and not just with the German hoodie version. So this will be most likely put online on the shop within the next few days. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then, so let's have a small recap again. So maybe for those who have been there for the first time, we have been for the first time. So usually we started in the Volkskunde Museum, which is a small museum in Vienna. We had multiple rooms there, a big, room for a presentation room. I didn't find a photo where it was full, but usually there we had our biggest presentations, and this is now we you see here a picture, but we completely changed it with a stage and all that stuff, and all the technical stuff was put in there, video, audio, light, network, everything was, so that was, yeah, so we completely added this to the room. 2 days of setup, 2 days of teardown. Of course, we're missing this a bit. So, well, it's not regarding stress levels, but it was really, that was something we thought about. Do we get this feeling of togetherness, which usually comes about when we build it up and set it up? Will we get it when we're doing this online? And during one of our recaps this week, we actually said, we found out, yeah, it actually worked out pretty well even online.
I have a few postcards that we received in 2016, or that we sent, and I've picked these out. We had this motto, "I feel like a superstar. There's a camera everywhere." Now, considering what has happened till then, we were kind of ahead of our time then. In 2017, it was about the connections between network nodes. Our motto was generations. In 2018, the motto was generations. If you're interested in these, you can still find those mottos and designs. Use the menu button on the PrivacyWeek website, and you can see the talks from those issues from previous PrivacyWeeks. Then there was a Viennese motto in 2019, private. Oida is a famous Viennese word, and the internet. Oida can roughly be translated as dude, private dude, but only very roughly. Someone asked, where can I see these beautiful sketch notes that Jana makes? She posts them on her own Twitter account. Jasovis_O is her Twitter account, but we have retweeted several of her sketch notes. So you'll find her account through the PrivacyWeek web account, Twitter account, sorry, but perhaps we should collect these and publish them somewhere too. And another feedback from the internet that we received by now, you really ran a great PrivacyWeek. Thanks for that. 3 hearts. Thank you very much for that. Hashtag, just to reply to that. Yeah, right? I see people nodding. And tomorrow we did it, in the mornings we did a stand-up every day, and in the evenings we did a recap where we talked about, looked what we could improve. And I think the general mood was, we'll do it again. What it will look like next year, well, that's the glass bowl. It's more online than previously, I'm sure. What we set up this year, I'm pretty sure I would love to continue this. I'd be very happy for more international speakers and audiences. these are things to look forward to, which perhaps in 2021 we can work towards. What we would also like to do is a real all-female day, so that one complete day features only strong women talking about our issues. We almost made it this year, but Christian Swerts as a speaker was there on Monday as the kind of fig leaf man. But maybe by next year, not just the opening day perhaps, but one full day we can have as a female-only day, and we interpreters will see what we can do there too. And maybe can start work on that straight away. Right. What do you think? Clemens? What's the question? 2021. What will we do? Well, Privacy Week, right? Eva? What do you think? Well, I don't think there is any question about whether we want to do a Privacy Week. But what would it look like? We don't know that yet. But I'm pretty sure we say that this worked, so we'll do it again, right? Of course. Very much so. I've already said it. This suits me very well, and the internationality that we have, we wouldn't get that otherwise. A mixed hybrid thing would probably be an even different and maybe larger challenge. I don't know how we can do that, but, well, we've managed this, so maybe we can add a presence dimension next time. Right. So I think we said hashtag next year and PrivacyWeek 21. And I think that makes it official, right? Is that what you wanted to spoiler? No, the Women Day or Female Day. But yeah, pw20, you've now spoiled it as well. Anyway, it was great. So many thanks to the great team, everyone that took part. And I hope that we haven't forgotten anyone. I'd be very sorry indeed, because every single position is important. We've always said this, and to have 1,000 shifts to cover, that is quite a thing. That is fantastic. There's something in the side channel. People are already reserving taking time off work for next year. Fantastic. We haven't even announced the date yet, have we? Well, you know how it's like at Congress. Well, never mind when. Just let's take time off. Let's take all of October off. Right. Well, you're laughing now. Okay, I'll just open a mate, shall I? I have one left too. I'll open that too. I think we were lacking a mate statistic. Yeah, well, it's definitely more easy to compile these other statistics. From the control room, I can say that we had 1.5 crates of mate that we enjoyed, and about half a kilo of coffee, and that is a 2-person statistic. And for the rest, we will have to ask around. Send us your stats for the Privacy Week, and we can then Twitter those or toot them on Mastodon. Yeah, but I believe that we are now getting to the end. Did you have cat content there? Content, hang on. your mask, the sheep mask is kind of off right now. Jürgen has just disappeared behind his green screen, it seems. Ah, here's some cat content. Great, this is Rocco. Fantastic. Okay. Now to the very sad moment that always makes me cry a little. The Privacy Week 2020 is hereby over. Yes, really. But I think it's a laughing and a sad eye. The laughing eye is looking forward to sleep. We don't have to do a teardown. Not as much, at least. And we have a bit more time to do that. Did the cat give its consent? And did the cat sign a speaker's agreement? We'll have to clarify that later. Okay, so very, very warm thanks to everyone. Everyone in our audience out there. It was great. To the whole team. It happens every year. Because it moves me so much how people are coming together, and that is just fantastic. Thank you. Be well. See you next year. Goodbye.